Yes, scary, huh? If you have been in the studio before, please stand up. All right, if you have not done UAT Game Studios before, these people have gone through it before. Please look around if it's your first time. And one of the things that we really encourage is both transparency and asking questions. So if you have something wrong with, or you're worried about something, you can't figure something out, this group of people have done this at least once. Sit down if you've done it only once. This group of people have done it at least twice. Sit down if you've only done it twice. 3 times. Okay, sit down if you're at 3, 4 times. All right, sit down if you're only 4, 5 times. All right, sit down. Sit down if you're at 5, 6 times. All right. All right. So if you have a question, ask Harlan or Donald. That's really a 7. All right, what do you guys have? How many terms have you gone through?
Awesome.
2 years.
It's 8 or 9.
8 or 9. I've done 21 terms. I don't know, something like that. But please, like I said, I can answer questions. Any of the game faculty can answer questions. So game faculty, stand up. You should know this group of people.
Don't ask me any questions.
There's One Trick Pony. There's Hugh. There's Mormon Man. There's the mighty Lynn, the true power behind the studio, and me, the puppet who stands in the front and dances. But obviously, we're going to have a perspective. But the students that have been through it are going to have a different perspective and be able to answer your questions differently. So please ask. All right, I'm going to try to go quickly here. Couple of quick things. For the veterans, for the people who've gone through this before, you're going to notice some changes based off both my experience and your guys' feedback. Everybody accesses only one shell now instead of 17 different shells, and you have to try to figure out what you're going through. Obviously, this is a pretty big change, and so there may be some things that creep up or don't quite work right, or just let us know and we will work it out. Kent and I are actually taking care of most things like that. That also includes the online students. They're in the exact same shell as well. So 6 classes are accessing one chunk of content. So if you see anything or notice or have problems with something, please let me know. All right. So what is UAT Game Studios? We do have a lot of newbies in here. The idea behind this is to combine students, professionals, alumni, game companies, and run a studio using Scrum, Agile, and development practices. Our goal is to, like I said, be transparent and give you guys an experience that is like working in the industry, or at least close as we can mimic. Obviously, we still have government regulations and education stuff and things that we have to do as well. I've mentioned this to some of the leads on Wednesday. But I'm going to bring it up in here. We made a couple other little changes. Change number 1. If it's not in the build, it doesn't get shown. No more PowerPoints for build reviews. It is all about getting the work done, getting it in, and making sure that you have stuff to show. Thing number 2 that kind of goes along with that is we're going to be paying very close attention to the feature sets that you guys are working on, and maybe reining some of you guys in. So for instance, if you are trudging along and you're getting great progress on something, and then it kind of starts to fade and you kind of move off and start working on something else because it's more exciting, we're going to rein you guys back in because we really want to see things get done. My goal is to have every 3-week build out in the cafe and playable. And again, think about your definition of done, right? It is okay to have one box fighting another box with a cylinder. That's gameplay. You can play that. You can feel if it's fun or not. And that's what we really want to get to. We want to get to the idea that you can get your core gameplay in and working, and we can play it and we can figure out, is this fun, is this not fun, do we need to change this before we move on? So be aware of that. Let's see. So today is one of 2 events that we hold throughout the term. It's the Game Job Fair. We've got some industry speakers that are going to speak a little bit, some alumni that are going to speak a little bit, and then we're going to get into the pitches. The main goal for today is to make sure that you get on a team and you're ready to go. Make sure you're checking the shell, both alumni or both veterans and newbies, to make sure that you are getting your stuff in for today. The second event that we do is the green light event, Slice Celebration. We've actually split those into 2 events, so that's like 3 events now. So we celebrate what you guys build at the end of the term, and then we also pitch. So most of you guys probably were here for the pitch last term, but be thinking about that as well. Something we may try new this term, if I get around to it in the next couple of weeks, is to start to also identify the types of games we want to see, and we'll give those games more points towards getting greenlit. That way we keep a variety. One of the criteria we used behind the scenes when we were choosing games this time was, is this different than the other games we're greenlighting? Right? So we have 7 games, but if you look across our spectrum, there's 7 really different games. You know, there's VR, there's mobile, there's action, there's all kinds of different things. So kind of keep that in mind. All right. Don't think we need that. Other things. So if you haven't had me as an instructor or interacted with me, you know that I am really into social media now. It was forced upon me. I wasn't a natural Twitter user, but it has become a big deal. So I highly encourage you to follow us on our social media channels. We tweet out, we put up videos, we put Facebook posts about not only what we're doing here in the studio, but what's going on in the industry. We were just talking a minute ago about an article that hit. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's an author from, it was on medium.com or something like that, about death threats and horrible things people tweet at game developers. So I tweeted that article out and different things like that. So if you're not following us on Twitter, you should. It's at UAT Game Studios. If you're not following us on YouTube, you should. It's YouTube/UAT Game Studios. If you're not following us on Facebook, you should. It's facebook.com/UAT Game Studios. You may be picking up on a particular pattern. We're not that hard to find. Also, it's a great networking tool, right? You know, if you start to get followers, like I have about 3,000 followers, and it's about 90%, 95% people who work in the game industry or are related to the game industry. It's a really good way to see what's going on. Which brings us to one of the other things that I really like about what we do here. We work like a studio. We're going to do industry-related things, but we're also transparent about what we do, not only internally but externally, right? We have the opportunity to teach, even based off of this like horrible article that was about people just saying horrible things to game developers. What is it that game development is? A lot of people who are working in the game industry are either told not to by their companies, or the companies obviously have secrets they want to protect, so they're not publicly putting out what they're doing behind the scenes. But we will, right? We stream our build reviews. We let people see what does it take to make a game, because I think a lot of this just hatred comes from people not understanding how much work this really is, right? You get somebody, and I know you guys have heard this if you follow gaming at all, why don't they just insert feature here? That word "just" is dangerous because it makes the assumption it's like, oh yeah, let's just go in, I'll flip the add cover system switch and it'll be in and it'll not be a big deal, right? That's not how game development works. And so with all these social media channels and YouTube and the conversations and your stand-up reviews and stuff, we can hopefully help reveal some of that. So think about that, you know, when you're doing your stuff. You can show people what it's like to be a game developer, and then that can springboard you into the industry as well, because if somebody's interviewing you and they see, oh yeah, look, this person understands the behind the scenes of it, it's a really strong place to be. What I miss, Lynn? There's always something.
Tyler Cook brought up a really good point. Being a long-term game developer with UAT Game Studios, she recognized that last semester we did not make a big push for game teams to actually do social media. So that's a point of emphasis this semester as well.
Absolutely. I threatened to do it last term, I just never got to it. I've been digging into some of the YouTube settings. I think I can make people allowed to upload content to our channel as well. So I'm going to be working on that as well. Facebook covered. Yeah, I think I hit most of my stuff. All right, I'm going to get out of the way because we do want to get to the pitches, but before we do that, Matt, I think, is going to start to introduce some industry people and alumni, give their little thing. Oh, Lynn's got something else. I knew there'd be something else.
You want to just breeze over the assignments that are actually due today for my development?
I would, but I don't remember what they are. Check your shell. But no, Lynn makes a good point, though. You know, again, we are a studio, but there are also milestones and due dates and things that are beyond just I worked on the game, right? So just because this is our organization week and we're kind of getting things up and running, doesn't mean that there's still not tasks that you need to get done, and that's what you're going to be graded on. So make sure that you're checking that. Do you remember what they are off the top of your head, Lynn?
Sprint log. Everybody
Sprint log.
should be logging their hours, deliverables. Make sure that you get the screenshot of your confirmation, getting onto the team's communication and management tools. Very important. Also, you've got 2 weeks before that first build review. So everybody should be taking on tasks. Remember, you've got 4 hours committed to your class outside of Fridays as well. So make sure you're using that wisely and you're contributing well to your team.
And make sure you check the rubrics when you submit on those activities. There's criteria of what you're supposed to submit, right? So keep that in mind. Make sure you're looking at that.
When the teams are formed up, your first video introduction is everybody on your team, making sure that everybody is identified on your team on your first intro video, and then what they'll be doing for your team is pretty much what we want to see in that intro, that first video for you.
Cool. All right, well, I'll wrap up with this. Lynn and I are the instructors for the course. If you're in 281, both online and on ground, you've got Lynn. If you're in 381 and 481, both online and on ground, you've got me. So it's just the 2 of us this term. Last term we had a 3rd person. We're making some changes, so we're reining this in. But that also doesn't mean that George, Matt, and Hugh aren't. They have access to the shell. That, you know, they're a part of what we do as well. They run some of the meetings and different things like that. We're just the instructors of record. So if you hate somebody, you can hate us, and then be nice to those guys. But it is a team effort. We want to get everybody in there and doing stuff. So again, if you run into anything, if you have any issues, please ask. Last thing that we brought up kind of in the impromptu leads meeting on Wednesday was you would be surprised if you are struggling with something, how quickly you can solve that problem if you just ask somebody, either a peer or one of us. I use a half an hour. Some people even use less than that. If you're sitting and can't figure something out for 10, 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour, you are not productive. You're probably learning something, but you're not the most productive in the world. Whereas if you go and ask Hugh like a Unity question, or Matt whatever Matt does question, Max, I'm assuming, text tree, the engine stuff or anything like that, if you come and ask us, we might be able to answer and save you literally tens, if not more hours, right? You might fight something for 6, 7, 8 hours that Hugh could sit down with you in 15 minutes and show you how to do it, and you're good to go. We've put in that time. We've put in the 10 hours figuring it out. We've had those struggles, and if we can pass that on. But not only us, again, you saw the people that stood up. They've been where you guys are at as well. They've struggled. They've had their problems. They've learned from different people. Ask. I read a quote, and it was on Twitter. I can do a lot on Twitter. But basically it said, if you ask me a question, and it would have taken you 10 hours to do that, and I made it so it only took an hour, that's 9 hours worth of work that just got done. Now all of a sudden, more work gets done, more stuff gets put in the bill. And it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to reach out and say, I don't know this, help me. That's not a natural human thing to do. But I am a true believer that what's good for the project is number one. And so sometimes you have to put that uncomfortability aside, right? Everything is about the project. It's about getting the project done. We want to have good teams. We want to have fun. But really, you need to look at the project. And so that leads us to my last point. Last point. I don't know how many last points I've made. The project and the build is what matters for the milestone. As we do Scrum, our goal is to link you up with tasks that you want to do. You know, it's a bottom-up management style. But that doesn't mean you can just ignore tasks that nobody wants to do, right? If it needs to get done for the build, you might have to bite the bullet and do it. You might have to do something that's outside your comfort zone, right? You're an artist and it's like, wow, somebody needs to sit down and draw this map out. Or you're a designer, but you have a little bit of programming knowledge and somebody needs to, you know, add these attributes or whatever. You might actually have to stretch yourself a little bit. But you should always be looking at the project and say, what can I do to make the project better? And work on that kind of stuff. When we get to the end of a sprint, if something doesn't get done and the excuse is, well, nobody wanted to do it, that's not good enough, right? We have to get the build done. So think about that as you're kind of dividing up tasks. Usually you can find plenty of stuff that you want to do. It's not that big of a deal. But sometimes things just have to get done. We all have things in our jobs that we don't necessarily like to do. Mine's grading. I don't like it. I just don't like doing it. But I do, eventually.
Sweet.
Hey, if you're in 381, 481, what's my response rate been so far this week?
That's
22 minutes per assignment, man. I'm just grading stuff as it comes in. Been hammering it this week. All right, I am going to get out of the way so we can move on.
all right.
Matt, you're up.
So I'm just going to open up the floor for the game faculty to make any announcements they need to make before we move on. Number one, Lynn, do you have anything else you want to add?
281 folks, just make sure that you know who your mentor is before you leave today. If you're not asking questions when you need to ask questions, if you're not making sure that you are failing, which is learning in my opinion, just make sure that you have your mentor in place today. Please make sure everybody knows the hierarchy of your management structure. You've got a design lead, you've got a programming lead, and you've got an art lead. Those are the people that you look to first in order to get your questions answered quickly. Is that a hand up over there? No? Okay. Hugh, you've got an announcement to make about Unity?
Yeah, so we've got the new versions. Every term we update the versions of Unity and Unreal on the systems. If you're using Unreal, definitely feel free to look through and go into people's C drives, Steam games, delete any Steam games they've downloaded, replace it with the latest version of Unreal, because you may need to do that. Those are huge versions, they take up a lot of space. So if you're using Unreal and you're downloading new versions, don't go do it on every machine. Find machines that you like to use and do that so that you don't have to worry about keeping installing versions that you want, because you can install any version that you need through Unreal. For Unity, we have 5.5, which was up last time. 2017.1 and .3 this time on there. There aren't enough changes between .1 and .3 that you should worry about upgrading, so just upgrade to .3. So if you're using Unity and you're on the 2017 version, just go to 2017.3. I guarantee I'll stake my reputation on that. You're not going to have a problem upgrading. If you're going from 5.5 to 2017, again, make the jump all the way up to 3, but you might have problems. There might be things that need to be updated. So if you need help with that, come talk to me if you're making that big of a jump. But if you're at the 2017.1, move to .3 because it does have a bunch of bug fixes and then a bunch of new features added on top. Including like all the VR, AR stuff, so that's mostly what was in there, which is why it shouldn't affect anyone in here, unless you were already working on virtual reality and augmented reality stuff in there. But there are a lot of bug fixes, so upgrade to that latest version, get that done as quickly as you can. Come to me for help the instant something goes wrong in that process. You should not be wasting time fixing your version to match the latest version. You want to get to developing as fast as you can. So come to me, let me help fix your version. That's it.
Does everybody know where the Steam Apps Directory is? We should post that in the show just to make sure. If you do run into that, I had that happen, I think Dakota, one of your people last term, was trying to get a build to work and the build was failing, and it was because it was out of hard drive space. And I went to the Steam directory and deleted gigabytes and gigabytes of games that had been downloaded, which we don't have a problem with. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a good way to reclaim space because you can just go in there, was it Steam Apps Common, whatever the directory is, and just highlight, delete. If they want to play, they can download them again.
George, you got anything you want to add?
Just don't think tools. If you guys have any questions in regards to development tools, Max, I'm your guy. Photoshop, Illustrator, I'm your guy. I'm also running Photoshop this term in terms of teaching it. I will have an assignment where you're pretty much tasked to create a logo and a business card of some sort. So for you guys that need logos for your game title or for your business in general, you can sit in that lecture. You can pull me out at some point, and I'll be happy to assist you with anything like that. So.
Okay. Is Tristan or Adam in the house? All right.
All right, well, let's move on to our industry veteran spotlight. The Reign and Rebellion stakeholders, Daryl and Doug. You guys want to come up and act like you know stuff?
She gets me every single time. I'll come up because Daryl's not the talker. I'm the one. Good luck. So my name's Doug Doyne. I was started at Electronic Arts in '96. First game I ever tested was Soviet Strike on the PlayStation 1. We didn't have dev kits. We used the paperclip trick to use our development stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but you can jimmy a PlayStation 1 to run a dev build. I've been doing this for a long time, primarily in quality assurance. Spent some time in Florida at Tiburon working on Madden. I don't know, a couple people might have heard of that game. It sells like millions of copies. For a roster update, it's pretty stupid. I got into the game industry because my mom told me that playing video games will never get me anywhere. And I was like, watch this, hold my beer. Right? That's what we do out here. So after I got that job, she stopped talking to me for about a month because I told her what I was doing. She laughed. But what I can tell you guys, there's a couple things that you have to take with you from here, right? Be humble, number one. Everybody's going to look at you like you're a rock star. Until you ship like 50 titles, you're not. And even then, you're still not. Because you'll get articles like the one that we were talking about earlier, absolutely stupid. Any keyboard warrior that wants to come and put a stake next to what I've spent in 21 years doing game development and testing and producing, I'll put them to bed. It's easy. But be very humble about what you guys got here. This thing is a gift. We didn't have this when I was starting. I have an 18-year-old kid that I'm desperately like, hey dude, go to UAT. I'll figure out how to pay for it. Don't worry about it. So I actually have him here with me today so that he can see, you know, just what you guys are about. The other thing is commit. The number one thing I see that causes games to fail is lack of commitment. The only thing in life that you guys have now is your word. It's the only tangible piece. So if you tell somebody you're going to get something done, get it done. And the cool thing about Scrum is it actually allows you to say, I'm not going to get it done. Is that okay? And the guys on top should go, yeah, that's totally okay. Let's find out why you didn't get it done and fix it. And then the other thing is just discipline. Like I think Derek was mentioning to it. I mean, dude, I can tell you, nobody wants to sit there and test every weather condition for every stadium in Madden. So I did, front to back. Think of the statistics in the NFL. I was that guy. That's what I tested the first year I was on Madden. And I can tell you, there were moments where I wanted to kill myself. So the grindy work is grindy work, but get it done. You know, be good about it. And I think the only other thing is, remember, you guys are making games. You have the coolest opportunity in the universe right here. You're making games. We're not curing cancer. It's got to be fun. You have to have fun doing this job. The minute it doesn't become fun, it's no longer, it actually becomes a job. So your passion will take a hit. You can tell the guys that are having fun versus the guys that are not. And the last thing I could probably tell you guys is everything that you see here in this studio is awesome. It's completely different out there. So the gaming industry is pretty tough. It's rough, but you guys are the carriers of how to affect that change to make it better. I can tell you all the grind and all the, what do they call it, the crunch. So all that stuff, I mean, I used to crunch 16 hours a day, 17 hours a day. After he was born, I was at work for 3 months straight on Madden. Like, and I'm not talking like weekends off, I'm talking 3 months at my desk. There's no reason for it, you know, so you guys work better, work faster, work smarter. And if you have any questions about game industry that I can leverage for you guys, hit me on LinkedIn. Doug Doyne, you'll find me out there, or Lynn knows how to get at Hugh. I've worked with you before. And then I'm also kind of like a Scrum evangelist. If you want to know anything about Scrum, I work in it every single day, both good and bad. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help. So thank you guys.
Appreciate that words of advice for you guys. If you guys are not following that, you're kind of dumb. So make sure you follow these words of advice, because this is why we also as teachers are here, is to help you do those things. Adam, right here, he's going to talk actually real quick before we move on to the presentations about upcoming industry events.
Right, so there are quite a few coming up this semester. We have the Global Game Jam is coming up in a couple weeks. Our local chapter for IGDA, the UAT chapter, we meet every Thursday night, 7:30 here in the theater. This coming meeting, we're going to be talking about how to do a game jam if you've never done one before. The next one is going to be about going to GDC, which is also this semester in March. Right now, there is a volunteer program that you can apply to. It's open for the next 5 days. It is the IGDA Volunteers Program. If you get accepted to it, they will give you an expo pass. It's 10 hours of work. So that's like a $200 pass to get into GDC for 10 hours of your time. You have to cover your own travel and food and all the other expenses, but it's definitely worth it if you can get into that program. Those are the main things that are coming up this semester. We do have one meeting that's scheduled for after the GDC one, where I'm going to be giving a lecture on the development of visual novels, and we will be dissecting Doki Doki Literature Club. Yeah, that's what I got.
All right, thank you, Adam. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
All right. So now it's time to do the presentations. You guys have 5 minutes maximum. Now remember, these presentations are being given to help recruit people. So if you have not chosen a team yet, you sign up. We also are going to have potentially some presentations by teams that are not in production studio. However, the teams in production studio obviously get the priority. So if you're a production studio student, you have to sign up for one of those teams. However, if you're just somebody coming in, I don't know how many people are in one class or the other, you're welcome to sign up to the rogue teams or whatever, or just get their information out. But we'll start with the actual teams that are in production studio. Once again, you'll get 5 minutes to present. I will time you. The first team is going to be Reign and Rebellion. So we also need to get that screen showing.
So while they're setting up, in the fall, our last game jam was conservatively about 50% freshmen. So it's not just the thing where veterans get together, right? No matter what your experience level, go to the game jam.
Just
You'll
make sure
learn a
your
lot. You'll learn
camera is
more
on
40
you
hours than you learn
and that you
on
stay
the
behind the podium when you're speaking.
Great.
All right. Hi, I'm Alex Wall. I'm the lead. We froze it again.
It's frozen and Mark's trying to unfreeze it.
I'm not trying to unfreeze it. Which button?
There's a freeze button at the top. It's just there's a delay, so it's really.
That's the thing you point at. Yeah! This is why he's the lead.
There you go. Hi, I'm Alex Wall. I'm the lead for Reign and Rebellion. This is Doug, the stakeholder, one of the stakeholders, and then Daryl over there is another stakeholder. So basically where we have started from the beginning, which was 3 semesters ago, Doug and Daryl came in with pretty much just a GDD and basically just an idea, and he gave it to us and says work with it pretty much. They wanted our input and basically where we wanted to go with it, and we are a third-person fighter game, fantasy. So, yeah. Our current state of the game is we're 100% student created. We have no dev kits. We have basically all of our own assets and all of our own work. We're mostly functional. This semester we're going to be focusing on trying to get everything polished out and basically ready for a set prototype. And yeah, that's pretty much it for where we are right now. Next steps, making it fun basically. We need to do balancing gameplay. adding and enhancing the art assets that we have, optimizing our code, optimizing our assets. We have placeholder UI right now. We need UI artists. And then we just want to do marketing work because we got to get the name out there and people know what we are. And then who do we need? We need a concept artist for sure. We need UI artists and designers, sound engineers, VFX artists, and basically anybody who really just wants to work on the game, come speak to us. We are accepting internships through Operscons LLC.
Okay, so now that you guys have heard all that, who knows how to do UI? Yeah! Okay, so what I will tell you though, user experience, if you don't know it as an artist, learn it because it is the #1 thing. It doesn't matter how cool your game is if somebody can't get to it. Okay, we spent hours and hours and hours on Madden. You can get into a Madden football game in 3 buttons. I can tell you chairs were thrown over that conversation. So learn user experience and UI. If you want to cut your teeth on it, this would be a good opportunity. I have some guys in the industry that I work in that are going to actually tap into that and be a mentor towards that. So if that helps anyone, no? Okay. Concept artists, visual effects, any of that kind of stuff. We're real close to getting this to the point to where me and Daryl feel like it's something we could put on a Kickstarter and build from there. So this will be the last semester that we probably deal with this one. The interns, I'll let those guys talk to you outside. If you have any interest in being an intern, they can tell you what it's like. It's different. So they do stand-ups every day. So because we're remote, I need to know everything going on. So it's just a little bit different. But hopefully you guys will come talk to us and say, hey, I love UI. Just kidding. Okay. I tried.
Well, I want to reiterate what he just said. Like, take that into it. It's like, I have people in the industry that do this for a living that will teach you. That's a huge opportunity, right? Like I said, you'll learn more doing that in this 15 minutes than taking 4 or 5 classes in it. You know, because you're doing it, you're working on it. So, you know, those are the kind of opportunities you want to look for. And now you've met 3 or 4 people in the game industry that can help you get a job down the road, right? You know, so look for those opportunities. You know, maybe you're not sure if you want to do UI or not. That's a great way to find out. You might hate it at the end and not ever do it. That's fine, but you've got a skill and you've made a great contact. And you know, I'm gonna
just commit.
I'm thinking about getting an internship.
If you go for it, go for it.
And to add on to that, the guys we worked with at Cheyenne that did user interface, UI, and visual effects, 2 of the things they're looking for. So Roland Hafner on visual effects and Fonzie on UI. They literally, I still talk to them, they don't have to look for work. Work comes to them. People are like, hey, we need a UI guy, come work for us.
And
they get recruited away.
I know my time.
I paused it.
That guy Roland in particular, and I'm glad you brought him up. We were going to fire that dude because we couldn't find anything for him to do. And one day he started playing with the visual effects in Unreal, and we walked by his desk and we were like, oh my God. So if you ever want to see some cool visual effects that were done like 8 years ago, look up Stargate World.
Yeah.
I mean, don't look up any of the news articles about it, but go look up on the YouTube. If you ever want to have a fun discussion, I can tell you what happened. I know he will bring in. But that moment was critical for me because I'm like, dude, this guy is not doing what he should be doing because Roland is amazing. And nobody knew it because he never tried it.
So I'm going to add to that for my 281 students who are just starting out. You might not feel capable of doing anything right now, and that's okay. That's why you're here. But in '95, when I went to work for Sony, they hired me as a character modeler and animator. But what was my first job? UI. So I was creating innovative UI for their extreme games. It is a way to break in the industry, not just environment models.
So small tangent, I'm a football coach. I coach little kids. I've coached for 20 some odd years. Nobody wants to be the center, right? But the center's the only guy on the field that touches the ball every single play. UI is the one thing that you see every single screen. So you want your name in the credit as UI, that's the fastest way to get it. You will be known, good or bad. So thank you guys, sorry for taking so long.
All right, the next team, Communication Meltdown. Austin already knows he's just
Indeed. I'm ready.
You all can't go to Raider Rebellion to be a UI artist. So.
Where are you? That is not me. Aha! Good morning, my name is Austin Harrington. I'm the lead designer for Monster Vault Entertainment. Over the last 2 semesters, I ran a game called Call Center Simulator through UAT Game Studios. We had a lot of success with it, and we wanted to roll into another project building on the successes we had with that one. So I'm going to start by showing a little bit of footage of one of the environments that we're using in our game, and then I'll take some time to explain what it is and what we're looking for. Love these subs.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty environment, but what is Meltdown? Meltdown is a virtual reality game. It's a 4-player co-op puzzler. I'll get into the specifics of that in a moment, but voice chat is a major feature, and one of the things that we're really trying to do with this game is to make it endlessly replayable, and so we've got a pretty cool system for that. In terms of the gameplay, it is a 4-player game. It's a little bit like Keep Talking and No One Explodes, if you guys know that game. So in this one, there is a boss and 3 employees. The boss has instructions for the 3 employees. He has to communicate those instructions. The 3 employees have to carry out those instructions. The trick is this is a room-scale VR game. The instructions will be to pull levers, push buttons, turn dials, but you're receiving those instructions over a telephone. So you're going to have to hold the telephone up to your hand. You're going to need both hands to do the various tasks. This creates a really chaotic, kind of fast-paced, frantic environment where you're really kind of held accountable by your boss in terms of understanding what you need to accomplish and being able to accomplish that quickly. For this semester, we're looking at doing between 2 and 5 levels. We're going to play that out once we see how big the team is. In terms of the team itself, we're looking to pick up another designer or 2 or 3 more artists, and a few more programmers. As you saw with our art style, we're doing kind of a 3D science fiction thing. It looks a little bit like Unreal Tournament or Epic Games with a little bit of The Simpsons thrown in on our consoles. This is a Unity game, and we are programming in C#. So, why Monster Vault? I think that they made a very compelling, Raider Rebellion made a very compelling pitch in that there are educational opportunities, right? The UI, UX, if I wasn't running a team, I'd be the first to your booth. We can offer something similar. Our company is run by a gentleman named Michael Densmore. All of the teachers here know him. He's one of the best students we've ever had at this school. He's an amazing artist. He's worked with our 3 artists that we have on our team right now, and they have radically improved under Mike, putting them into a situation where they can succeed, giving them the tools they need and the environment they need to be successful, has created 3 of the best artists we have at the school right now. And they are still radically improving. We want to extend that to more students at the school. And so artists, if you guys are interested in really kind of taking the next steps to getting to that industry-ready kind of professional level, we can get you there. Beyond art, we have great programmers right now. If you guys don't know Alex Gregory, he is a veteran programmer here. He is graduate, was the word I was looking for. And he and Liz Eiskis will be running our team. They're both fantastic. We've had great successes with our programming team so far, and we are looking to carry on with that. And our designers are pretty good too, for what it's worth. We are planning to release this year, hopefully, assuming everything goes to plan. So please come out to our table. We're set up back there. We can talk a little bit about whether you'll be a good fit for our team. Thank you.
And the younger version of Derek Clark.
Okay, so hello, I'm Dakota Stoner, and this is Gangs of Graffiti. So first off, the inspiration, the where we kind of got the art style and all of that was from Harlan's project that Harlan did. It's called Justice Punch. It's really good. If you ever get the chance, look it up. So what is graffiti? It's a multiplayer arena shooter. In it, it's gang wars. It's in a comic book world. The people are paint, fighting each other over territory, and tagging the territory with paint to claim it. The core mechanics is, of course, tagging. You can tag minions, bases, turrets, health zones, any of that. We want to make the world, the whole entire world, taggable and be able to, everything that's taggable has a reason. For this semester, we want to focus on one game mode. It's turf tag. For that, it'll be a free-for-all with infinite lives, point systems. It's just claim as much turf as you can and beat out the other players. So for the art direction, we're wanting to go more punk with more vibrant colors, kind of grittiness, in a pseudo comic book world. So who we need? We need programmers who are good with Unity and C#. Multiplayer programmers, if anybody knows HTTP requests. Character artists, stylized, animated, 3D models, level designers, who are good at making maps, paper mapping, and everything else. Thank you.
Trident is next.
Now, I think Austin signed me out, but maybe not. Oh, okay. Humanity is under attack, beset by gargantuan monsters from parts unknown. Our last line of defense, giant robots piloted by brave warriors, the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. This is not Pacific Rim, or Lost Planet, or Power Rangers, but obviously people love stories about giant robots, giant monsters, and they go nuts if you have the two of them fighting. So, this is Trident. Trident is a turn-based strategy game, pitting players controlling giant tridents, trying to defend the remnants of humanity. But the foes in Trident are especially deadly. They are all controlled by an additional player, whose entire goal is to wipe out all of the human players. In addition to being a board game you can play physically with your friends, Trident will also be a mobile game that you can take on the road and play wherever. So, where is Trident coming from? So, Justin Crow is a hobbyist board game maker. He's been up in Canada doing this for about 20 years, and I got the opportunity to play his Pacific Rim fan game. We had 4 players controlling the Jaegers, he was controlling the Kaiju, and it was an amazing experience. Usually when you have group strategy, you have too many cooks in the kitchen and you can't get anything done, but that was not the experience with the Pacific Rim game because of the simplicity of its rules. And there was a lot of individual strategy. We controlled the Jaegers directly in turn-based combat when they were fighting the Kaiju, and because every battle was important to the entire war effort, it was always engaging, even if I didn't have a Jaeger in the fight. So how do you play Pacific Rim? So first you build the Jaegers, you randomly generate stats, you purchase equipment, you go through, you assign to the Shadow Dome, and then you defend against the Kaiju, which are all randomly generated as you're playing, so you never know what's coming through the breach. You fight them, if you win, you get some experience, and then you're going to build new Jaegers, reset the war clock to see if there's a new threat increase, to see if the war's going to get even harder for you, research new technology, and do everything that you need to put yourself in the best position to win. Then, after threat rating 5, you can assault the breach. You strap a nuke to a Jaeger, and if you can get past the Kaiju defenders, and your scientists know what to do to send that nuke through the breach, you win the game. And it's a living game. The best Kaiju in the game, the one that killed the most Jaegers in cities, is added to the Hall of Fame, as well as the best performing Jaeger if you win. So next time you play, you might see those heroes from your previous games showing up. So what do we want to do with Trident? Well, with the first semester, I want to focus on the physical game. I want to rebalance the rule set so there's more of a 50-50 win rate for the Jaeger and Kaiju players, new flavor and descriptions because we're not going to get the license from Legendary, as well as working on layout. Presentation is a key portion of design, so I want the Trident player handout, Leviathan player handout, and the general rules to be easily read, as well as the character cards for both of those. We need to work on the play pieces. This is actual physical real-world prototyping. We need the system map, the terrain tiles so that you can build your battle, as well as the tokens for all of the different characters. On the digital side, I want to start working on the tools that are going to be the most important for us. First, a dice roller. Between haptic and audio feedback, if we can make something that feels as good as rolling actual dice, we'll be on a major step to making Trident successful in digital. I also want to work on the customization system, because if you're going to do it digital, let's make you actually be able to see your pieces. So that's 2 models, rigged and textured, with a bunch of different customization pieces so we can start testing that system. So what do I need for that? Well, for the physical game, I need a couple of artists. I absolutely need concept artists and illustrators to build the art that's going to be in the handouts. A graphic artist would help, so that way it actually looks professionally well done. For designers, we need gameplay designers to rework the systems and to test it constantly, as well as some narrative designers to help with the flavor text and the rebranding of the game. On the digital side, some artists doing character, environment, and UI art to start getting what looks like a proper game in there working, in addition to the tools we will be building, as well as a UX designer to help figure out how do we translate that to a digital space. For programmers, a tools programmer to help start building those tools that are a major barrier to the mobile entry, as well as some systems programmers so we can actually possibly get the game systems in and running. The goals for Trident are simple: a playable physical prototype, and I mean one that we can send to a manufacturer to start getting units made. The initial digital tools for the mobile game, and to start building an audience by taking the game to conventions and gaming stores and actually getting it in the hands of people this semester. Thank you for listening. I hope we get to work together on Trident. Thank you.
Buzzkill. Buzzkill is next.
Oops. It's in its own window down here.
What?
Sorry.
There.
Go.
Go for it. Go back.
Present.
Alright, welcome. We'd like to introduce you to our game project, Buzzkill. We're going to start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Lindsay Boggs. I'm one of the co-lead designers on the team.
My name is Caitlin Kohler. I'm the team leader.
Tyler King, one of the added team members who committed.
Naomi Law, one of the added members.
Okay, so what we're looking for is going to be programmers, artists, and sound and audio designers. If there's anything that you can do that you feel that you can be effective on this project, please let us know. We'll be out at the tables after the event.
Our pitch for you is we are an endless runner simulation game with an invisible enemy chaser. We're a 2D side scroller with a left directional flow. We have a profile camera view, and our movement is simple: swipe up, swipe down. Our disclaimer is the following presentation is made on the premises that the theme surrounds being a dog in an airport. Theme remains open. The mechanics are what we are truly aiming for.
So the game, what makes it different, that it's a left directional flow, so it's unusual from its normal left to right. It's based on ammo characters, it's an airport setting, and the main character is an antagonist.
And our gaming platforms will be the iOS App Store and the Android, and the game engine we'll be using is Unity.
The art styles is 2D and cartoony. Our main characters was done by different artists, while our enemy art was done by myself.
Okay, so what makes Buzzkill different from other endless runners? We're going to have attacks in our game, so you're going to be able to attack the people of the airport. We're also going to incorporate DLC that players can purchase with in-game currency, as well as it's going to allow us to make a little bit of extra money on the side, as well as they use USD. And then we're also going to be implementing a multitude of enemies, which you don't see in other endless runners. So the game universe is set in John F. Kennedy Airport in 2017 on any other peaceful day, but you enter the scene as Ego, this egotistical bee, and you're going to be wreaking havoc and causing chaos everywhere that you go. You're going to be singing random people in the airport, anyone that you come upon, pilots, passersby. You're also going to be pursued by a security dog named Atlas. It is your goal to sting as many people as you can for your score, collect their pocket change, and do not be eaten by the security dog.
One of our game modes is our campaign mode, which has 3 main quests. Good Morning Sunshine, where you get to meet Ego and you learn about his Napoleon complex. A Little Rain Never Hurt Anyone, where Ego proves his speed and gains a friend. And the last quest, You Poke the Bear. Ego and his friend meet Atlas. It doesn't end well.
We have other game modes such as Endless Runner, where it's a life and death situation between Ego and Atlas. And we have unlockable modes, which is Hellhound, where Atlas gets fire breath, kills Bee with a fire. And Bulldog, where he spits spit projectiles and slows the bee's speed.
Our user interface to start off is our start menu, our shop, our options, and our leaderboards.
It also includes our coin bank, pause menu, score counter, directive sting, and regular stings.
Okay, so there's also going to be power-ups in this game where you're going to be able to obtain a projectile sting, get stability and speed upgrades, double your coins, and also get a head start. However, the dog also has an upgrade that he can encounter, which gives him a speed boost.
Buzzkill is a free-to-play game, but it makes its profits through microtransactions. Available for purchase as pocket change, power-ups, soundtracks. Our character aesthetics, such as the bee, are free. The dog aesthetics, such as the beagle and schnauzer, are available with pocket change. Our chihuahua breed and mode are available with USD purchases, and our theme aesthetics are free.
So features we have into consideration, there's multiplayer mode where you can play as either Atlas or the dog. There's a chihuahua mode where the dog gets 10 times the speed. There's an attack mode where, well, extra attacks for the bee, where you can get a drill, electricity, or plastic swords.
Continue on. Currently we have Atlas on the full screen, but we're planning on making him partially on the screen. That way you can better see the enemies. You'll also be able to remove Atlas for a limited time by tricking him onto a moving walkway. And again, our theme is subject to change. We're willing to talk it out.
And what is already done, we got our GD documentation, our campaign mode overview, our concept art, and our enemy art done.
Alright, so we look forward to working with you. We'll be outside at the table. Please come let us know if you'd like to be part of our team. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Siege Box is next.
So is anyone else nervous? Is it just me? Okay, so this is SiegeBots. SiegeBots is basically it's a game where you can build robots and write the AI for them using a state machine and kind of just have them fight each other. There's a old video demo. Let me just skip to the good parts. So yeah, there's these different parts, you can attach them to the robot, and based on what parts you attach to the bot, you get different actions that you can assign to the state machine. So like the sensor module can scan for objects, things like that. You go through, you build the state machine, and then you can place your bots in the world, and they'll use the state machine to kind of fight each other. Like that. Pretty simple. So the core mechanic is to create your own AI. You can overcome different challenges by assembling your own bots, and the assembly of the bots and AI is supposed to be like a puzzle with exciting results. All the parts work together in interesting ways, and every bot part is unique in appearance and or functionality. So the art style guide kind of going forward is low poly with realistic gritty-ish textures, kind of futuristic. Goals for the semester was 15 additional bot pieces, fully modeled, textured, functional. 1 scenario or level for the players to kind of just test their units that they make. A more efficient saving and loading system for the bots, which is already underway, so that's not as big a goal as it used to be. And kind of a showcase of the communications of parts, like how they interact with each other. The current team is me, I'm the lead and programmer. Christopher Godina, he's not here, but he is a designer on the project, and Roger's our producer. If you don't know Roger by now, he's over there. The team we need is artists, definitely 3 to 4. If you're experienced with low poly 3D textures, UI, definitely. Seems everyone needs UI. Designers, systems and gameplay designers, maybe a level designer, and programmers for a lot of things. Benefits of the project, we're SIP approved, so if you need a SIP, you can use this as your SIP. You get to work with alumni, and I think it's a pretty good portfolio piece. Thanks. We'll be outside after this.
And then last fire break.
Oh. All right, hello everyone. So, I'm Infirminic, and I'm here presenting Fire Breaks, a isometric sci-fi game in which you control or work with up to 3 other people, trying to get through a series of levels, fighting epic bosses, and choosing the kind of route that you want to take in a big faction war happening on a mining planet. So we draw inspiration for our epic boss fights and our multiplayer from the Dark Souls games, the aesthetics and design from Shadowrun, the interaction between your squad mates and other NPCs in the world from Mass Effect, and the overall feel in terms of gameplay from XCOM without the turn-based quality, always in the moment action. So currently, Lava Bear has 6 people. We have 2 designers, 1 artist, 2 programmers, and a lot of us are also multifaceted. We can jump between different disciplines, which we definitely encourage for anyone that wants to hop on. So if you want to learn something new, feel free. As for a little short demo to show what we kind of have, it's a nice little top-down perspective in which you can explore various facilities, planet surface, urban environments, things like that. And currently what we have is a dude that runs around, doesn't hold a gun or anything. They shoot balls of death, and they have to figure out how to get all the doors with red lights over them to become green teleporting doors with green lights over them. So as it stands right now, it's pretty simple, but we suspect that this is pretty much the core gameplay, is running around shooting people. As for what we want to do for this semester is get the first level completed. It's about 15 to 30 minutes going down a core path. If you want to rush straight for the boss at the very end, you can. Or if you want to see what the 2 factions that are interacting with this boss have to say and what they need to do, you can go and interact with them. As well as getting all of our assets and core functionality in place, possibly getting the starts for the multiplayer interaction for that level. But the big overarching goal is by January of next year, we want to actually have this game completed with a handful of levels and on Steam on the market for everyone's portfolio, and maybe get our foots in the industry. So what do we need? Artists and programmers are going to be our 2 big ones. Since we only have 1 artist, we need artists that are interested in all aspects of it. So concept art all the way to rigging, modeling, texturing, things like that. As for our designers, we have a lot of stuff based on lore, story, narrative, dialogue, things like that. But we also need stuff for level design and simple balancing. For programmers, we are working in the Unreal Engine. That being said, C++ is definitely a big bonus. If you don't know it, come talk to us. We can definitely show you how it's done. And sound designers, if you're interested, you can hop on board as well. And if there are any other positions that you think might be useful for the team, feel free to approach us with it. We might actually be able to fit you in. So what do we currently have? A whole bunch of documentation. We got an art style guide with plenty of references and a few concept images right now, a fully completed game design document, fully completed tech design document. We have a full burn down chart for what we plan to have for start to end, complete release. And we are an LLC, so we do offer internships for everybody. In our production pipeline, we work with GitKraken, Google Drive for pulling files, but we're also carrying everything over to Axosoft for our tasks. We're going to work with Unreal Engine, and if you don't want to always communicate in Slack, we are going to have a Discord for voice chat and all of that. For artists, Autodesk is going to be our big one. Max, Maya, we don't really care. It's definitely up to preference. I think I've actually covered everything. So the big one is that we offer internships. We are planning to release a full game by next year, so if you want to stay with us for a little bit longer than just a semester, feel free to talk to us about it, and we'd love to bring you into the fold. Otherwise, hope to see you outside a little bit later here.
Includes all of the teams that are actually in production studio. However, it looks like Derek wants to say something.
I always want to say something.
Yeah. However, we are going to allow for any team that wants to pitch, that needs people. Also, they can do that today. Remember, though, if you are in production studio class, you do have to sign for the aforementioned teams. But if you're not in production studio, you can sign up for any of these upcoming teams. So
So yeah, before we do the other pitches, so if you are in the studio, like Matt said, we need you to sign up for these. A couple of things I want you to think about when you're doing that. We have the capacity for about 7 to 9 people per team, and that's what we will run. So it's in your best interest to find teams that have needs. If you go out to the table and you find a team that has 30 people signed up for it and you sign up as person number 31, there's no guarantee, right? We will balance the teams. It's going to happen. The leads today will have a meeting and we will play kind of like trading baseball cards. I'll give you an artist for a programmer, you know. Because that's and again, we try to mimic the reality of production. When you go to work for a game company, they might just tell you, no, we need you to work on this team. We need to move you over here. This team's falling behind. Those kind of things happen. We will do our best to match you with the teams that you want. I know a lot of the teams are already pre-set up some of that kind of stuff as well, and that's fine. But the reality is I have 7 games I need to produce, and I can't have half the class working on one and then sprinkle all the other people through. So be thinking about that. Also be thinking about, okay, I really like this one, but I also like these games, because we try to use that information as well, right? If you have said, I have this as my secondary, or I like these 3, we will do our best to match you up with the team that you want to be on, because it's easier to be passionate doing stuff you want to do. But the reality is we do have to make sure things work. We purposely picked 7-ish projects this time to force the teams to be a little bit smaller than they were last term. They got a little bit crazy last term because we were only running 4 projects. But I think we are right at about high 60, 70 students total across everything. So, like I said, that kind of 7 to 9 to 10. Once you take the leads out of that number, that's about where we're going to be per team. So think about that. Also, as you're signing up, pay attention to who is signed up. If you are the 17th artist to sign up for that team, it's not going to work either, right? So, if there's 6 people signed up and you're like, cool, I'll be the 7th, and they're all artists and you're an artist, we're going to have to break that up as well and to make sure everybody gets capacity. If you have any questions about any of that kind of stuff, kind of come and talk to us. Like I said, we do our best to make sure that you're on the team you want to be on.
Make absolutely clear, because we've had problems with this in the past. How many teams are they supposed to sign up for when we go outside?
1.
However, if you're really hot on a project, you better get there quickly.
And you can go and talk to the
you can talk to the other leads.
Second and third choices, but don't sign up, because otherwise we will be here until 7 o'clock at the leads meeting. They're like, oh, I've got this person on mine, and then you've got that person, you got that person, and you'll save us a lot of headache.
There's also a discussion, I don't know if everybody's seen it, but if you go to the shell, there is a discussion that we do, I think it's today or earlier this week, but it's listed in Module 1 under job fair something or another, but it is there, and it does ask you to kind of go through and list your preferences.
It is graded, just saying.
Yeah, it is a graded discussion, so that will help us out too, as we can look over that and see when we get in there what your first, second, maybe even third choices are. So if you do have to kind of get moved around, we can see what that second choice is in that discussion, so we can help to kind of place you guys where you want to be a little bit better.
That's right. Don't mess this up.
I know that by checking this morning, there are quite a few of you who haven't done that yet. So make sure you jump in there, you state your preferences as quickly as possible.
Don't mess this up, because I have a raid tonight, and if I miss that because you guys didn't sign up correctly, my guild will be very upset.
So 1 physical, then go in that shell, list your other choices.
We use all that information. Like I said, we will do the best we can to get you on the team you want to be on. We're not trying to be mean here, but there are realities. Production is production, so we have to deal with it. All right, I think we can move on, Matt.
All right, so same thing, 5 minutes maximum for any team that is row teams that are pitching. We're going to start with the list that was from last semester. If you guys don't have it, you don't have it. We just move on. Empathic symmetry, I don't know if you were going to pitch, Bryce? Empathic symmetry.
Oh, no.
Okay, hell no. Okay, good. Looters of Arcade, were you going to pitch?
No.
Okay, Riff Wars, Marcos?
Hello, my name is Marcos Escobar, and today I'm pitching Rift Wars to any and all people who are outside of the game studio class. So this is the wrong presentation. Okay, I'll just do this by voice then. So Rift Wars is simple. It's a strategy card game that focuses on a 3-deck system of cards. Each of the decks consists of individual card types. Those card types have different effects on the battlefield, and you must utilize those card types in order to better work against your opponent. The game has 2 players, each one with their own army to control, their own resources to utilize, and their objective is to kill the general of your opponent, which acts as your representative and the person in charge of your army. The unit cards, which are the game's primary form of combat, are your soldiers who are in charge of killing the other general and the other general's unit cards. You also have territory cards. Territory cards act as your resources. They'll give you more troops, more supplies, more ways to effectively fight against your opponents. There are equipment cards, which act as small upgrades for your unit cards. They'll give them better attacks, better health, and so on and so forth. Rift Wars already has a set deck of cards that consist of the first faction. Though limited, there is some availability there for people who want to try that. The GDD is already finished for the game. It's been SIP approved, so if you need a SIP project, you can come on in and you can use that for your SIP. Some of the card art has already been finished. I have some test art that you can look at for inspiration. What I need for this project is one more designer to help me work out some of the rules and some of the finer details of the game. 4 artists to help work on the card art, the UI art, some of the 3D modeling that we'll have, as well as some of the digital effects for the cards once they complete actions, as well as 2 programmers, because I do not know how to program, and programming is very hard. I do not want to do that ever again. But that's all I have to say. Just a quick show. Actually, there's no artwork here for me to show, so thank you for your time, and I hope to see you outside.
Tyler, you get a pitch?
Sure, why not?
Well, sure, why not? Battleground Legacy.
Yeah.
There you go. That's conviction.
Cool. Alright, so my name is Tyler Osborne. Many of you know me as Ozzy, and my game is Battleground Legacy. It is a trading card game. So show of hands, who's played a trading card game? Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, different things. And then how many of you have ever felt you got cheated out of out of a game because you didn't go first? You rolled a low number, you failed the coin toss, rock, paper, scissors. Well, Battleground Legacy fixes that. So how we do that is we allow both players to go first at the same time, allowing them to set up their fields without having to worry about what the other person is doing. And then at the end of the turn, they compare who has less resources on the field, and then whoever does then goes first. By doing this, you have a strategic chance to either set up your board and not have to worry about your opponent just getting a free field and winning the game based upon that, or you can strategize and give yourself less resources and know that you're going to have the actual first turn when you go into interactions. So this allows you to actually create strategy rather than, oh, I lost because of a dice roll. So what I have so far is I have created a catalog of at least 150 unique cards culminating in 10 plus decks. We have created physical prototypes to actually playtest and get a lot of this done. Currently, we have some just placeholder art, but thanks to the Greenlight pitch last semester, the last semester, I did get a artist, and this is a SIP-approved project, and that artist is now doing it as their SIP. Currently, I'm looking for 1 to 2 more artists, 2D and concept arts, and even system designers to test out more of the cards, so that way we can have a larger library to prototype and test more cards. And if anyone's has any experience in Tabletop Simulator, that would be appreciative because we're going to try and get that in there. For the art style, it's more of a stylized 2D concept art, so it's nothing super realistic like Magic the Gathering, but still very high quality nonetheless. And then, yeah, that is all. Thank you.
All right, so I don't see anybody else from any of the other teams that pitched. We'll open it up. Is there anyone else who would like to pitch at this moment? If not, we have one left. It is an online online representative, not online student. They're not here, but we'll show off their video.
All right, Ben Pope. Anybody know that name?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So he is one of our long-term UAT grads, game developers. He does have his own company, game development company called Live in the Game. He is growing 2 teams, and those teams are Rye Revelries and Model Weapons Expert. If you're interested in joining one of these teams, please come see me. I'll have a sign-up sheet out here in the lobby as well. Let's take a look at his video presentations.
Hello everyone, this is Benjamin Pope, CEO of Live in the Game LLC. I am an alumnus of UAT and founded the studio while I left school in 2015. We are made up of many alumni from UAT, plus others spread around the globe. We moved our studio to Denver now and have branched out there, but still have a strong connection to UAT. Having worked in the Greenlight program years ago, for multiple semesters, we had an amazing experience. The project we used mirrored the reflective resolution, flourished in the program, but had to be placed on a pause so we could work on a few other projects for now. And we have since published one game, Lunar Sea, through our work with Denver University. We have also released a demo for another, Rye Revelries, and are working primarily on the 2 projects we're pitching to Greenlight today. We now have learned even more of the process of development and have structures in place to help get the projects to where they need to be as a benefit of these early experiences. I'm now going to hand off the presentations to the directors of operations for each project, and would like to say how excited we are to be continuing our work with UAT and its students in the pitching today once again.
Greetings everyone, my name is Alex Thompson and I am the Director of Operations for Rye Revelries. It's a point-and-click adventure game series that will feature famous figures throughout history placed in stories that combine real works in a dreamlike scenario. First venture will be showcasing Edgar Allan Poe. The pillars of our game design which will guide you are dark humor, choice, and authenticity. The main focus of the game will be retelling, reimagining, or adapting Poe's short stories and poems, giving the player first-hand experiences of each, and these will all take place within the dreamscape of Poe's mind. The art style was developed by Casey Harris, who took heavy inspiration from the indie game Don't Starve, though Rye has a sketchier and inkier look to it. I have only been a part of the team since early this year, and as I understand, Rye's concept comes from a UAT Trinity Game Jam game originally. When I initially joined the project, the first thing that I did was examine its existing documents and assets. I found a lack of direction in past work and discovered a direction by adjusting the original model of having each story being self-contained to one where they are all connected in a single overarching narrative. Following our pillars, the game was overhauled in many capacities thanks to some strong new additions to the project, and as a result, the game is on a much healthier course, with strong, reliable people, but alas, we are still so few. However, none of us are able to devote as many hours as we'd like, and we seek the help of you all to accelerate, diversify, and enhance the quality of the game. Primarily what we are looking for are writers, designers, animators, and artists. As a writer, you will be focused on writing the dialogue and supplemental events within the overall narrative. This will involve synthesizing your own humor and insight into existing characters and ones that you create to fulfill narrative purposes. As a designer, your primary work will be creating and polishing puzzles, both with inventory objects and isolated screen puzzles. If you have a ton of crazy ideas and love puzzles, then I encourage you to share your talent to create a whole new age of enjoyment or frustration for players. As an animator, you'll be working with a 2D rigging or bone system, such as Sprite 2D, the Duic After Effects extension, or Spine, which I have used for the animations thus far. While many indie games need only a handful of animations, Point and Click provide an additional challenge in their numerous custom situations that will provide a great deal of practice with all kinds of actions. Lastly, we are still seeking artists, specifically to help illustrate scenes for isolated puzzles, inventory and on-screen items, or possibly additional effects to be overlaid on scenes. What's most important to us is that you're able to match the art style of the game. Working on any game can be very time-consuming and stressful, but Live in the Game provides a linear approach to schedules, which I am very grateful for. You'll be given work on a weekly basis, but it should not impede with your own studies and passion projects. As the director for Rye Reveries, I wish for everyone on the team to succeed, but also to keep a healthy life balance, which is something all too often ignored by us game devs. I have estimated that the game will take about 2 years to complete. No, 2 years. Who has time for that, right? The main proponent of this estimate is that I am the sole designer, writer, animator, and project lead currently. If we can get all the right people we need, the game would likely be done just in time for Halloween next year. I won't abandon you on your tasks, but I also won't dictate what you do. All that I ask is for you to follow the pillars of dark humor, choice, and authenticity. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you.
Hello everyone, my name is Carl Rocco and I am an alumnus of UAT as well as producer for Live in the Game LLC. Model Weapons Expert is a game that follows the story of a post-war veteran, Riley Morris, who players control, who is now a custom weapons expert. They walk through simulated first-person gameplay to assemble selections of weapons for customers and test them at a firing range while under simulated high-stress environments from visual and auditorial cues related to their past experiences with their overbearing drill sergeant Michael Trent and experience in the military. The game will feature indoor and outdoor gun ranges that mirror similar locations in the real world, in addition to featuring a variety of weapon packs. Having begun development in 2015, the game has had made some major advancements in recent months that include the completion of various assets from the indoor and outdoor environments. The development team consists of UAT alumni, which is unique, but as we look to further development in order to release the demo, hiring additional staff is crucial in order to meet the 2-semester window, so we look forward to filling those spots. The demo's release will be within 3 to 6 months depending on how quickly we can fill those holes in our development staff. Model Weapons Expert's demo will see a release on the PC platform with an eventual port over to virtual reality.
Thanks everyone for your time watching our project pages. Check out our locations on social media and more, and feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have.
All right, Live in the Game. Give them a hand. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Open floor, last call. Anybody who wants to share the project that they're working on, now's the time to do it. Okay, no risers. All right, team members, 281 especially, make sure that you're staying with your team. Again, head toward that team that you think you can contribute best to first. And then make sure that you are not 5th on the list, for example, if you're an artist. Otherwise, migrate to your second choice. We are a very transparent society, our culture, so even though you may have to settle for one of our other teams, know that you can still grow with the team and understand and participate in what they're doing by observing and playtesting and giving your feedback to them. You have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate the non-studio projects. You can still get involved with those even if you're working on a studio project. We like to be a community. We like to help each other out, right? So if you see a project and you're like, wow, even if you can't contribute, hundreds of hours, you can contribute to it and help each other out. That's a good thing. Bookkeeping stuff, make sure that if you're in the class, you come up and sign in and sign out. We're going to be paying close attention to those this term. A couple of things. One, please write your name so I can read it if you want credit. If you don't want credit, scribble whatever you want on there. I don't care. 2, make sure you only sign yourself in and out. 3, make sure you're honest with your times. We talk a lot about transparency. If you need to leave early or you're going to miss some time, that's fine. Don't lie about it on the sheet, right? If you have a doctor's appointment and you have to cut out at 4:30 or 4 o'clock or something on one day. It's okay. It's like, that's how things work. But if you have somebody else be like, oh, put 5:30 on there for me before you go. I know a couple of times that I marked some stuff down there at like 4 o'clock. It's like, wow, you've already signed out at 5:30 at 4 o'clock. That's pretty impressive that you've jumped an hour and a half into the future to sign out. So, make sure you're signing them. We want to know that you were here, and there are graded components to that. But be honest, be transparent. That does matter. And again, at least write part of it. The signature I don't have to be able to read. I don't care. But the part that you have to write your name, please write that. Any other announcements for you guys?
Just to bounce off of that, what you just said, you're not just here to contribute to projects. Last I looked, researched, entry-level positions require 2 ship titles, so that is why you're here. Not only that, but you are building your reputation right here, and that is, I think, Doug, you could probably agree, Hugh, that is what's going to help you get into the industry. Not just your portfolio, but your integrity and your reputation. So make sure that you are contributing well and building your reputation with your team members. They are the ones that are going to vouch for you and give you those references as well as us. Yeah, so you're here to impress. Yeah.
If you remembered is that, oh, that's that person that kept blowing us off on our team project, and they're in a studio you want to get into, they're not going to help you get in. That kind of stuff follows you. So.
All right, for online team members, do make sure that you're looking for your email from your new lead by the end of the day. And just as a point of recognition, can we all give our online team members a round of applause just so we know we're there? All right. They actually come in and they're contributing at twice the rate, 20 hours per week, as opposed to our 10. So it's really important that we stay connected, good communication built there. All right, that's it for me. Yeah.
All right, so again, today is really get with your teams, start talking, get to know each other. Like I said, 90% of the time you get on the team that you chose. It's not like a horrible percentage, but there are some adjustments we make down the road.
Do not sign and then dash and go home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. If you are new, I forget, we do have a lot of new people.
We do.
So the course is designed so that we meet at 10:30 in the morning. You'll notice on your schedule, your class is also scheduled for 4:30 to 5:30 at night. The expectation is you're here in the middle between those working with your team, right? So that's how it's designed. If you have conflicts, again, let us know. One-offs can happen. But make sure that you are doing that. Lynn's pointing at something.
Team leads, you've got the goods. 281 folks, you need to know that this is what they're responsible for providing to me at the end of the day. You've got to get connected, make sure that you have confirmation that's your deliverable today. And also the tasks. You have very little time to present on the 3rd week. That's your first milestone review. So make sure that you're contributing well with your team.
I've been itching to cancel a project. Ask anybody. Actually, I threatened a couple teams ago. A couple teams got close. And like I said, we try to mimic the environment that the real world works in here, right? So if your first milestone, I might not cancel it on the first milestone, but let's say you don't have a build available for week 3. We're going to watch really, really close. And if we don't see progress, I have no problem shutting a project down and moving the people to other projects. I haven't had to do it yet, so congratulations. I don't want to do it. It's not something I'm looking forward to. But if things go awry or you're not making progress, and also, if you are a team that is looking to get greenlit again for an additional term, it's not automatic. Just because you're in once doesn't mean you automatically get in the second time. We've had projects that we have not greenlit a second time. And then we've had some that have run for 2 or 3 terms. So, you know, we pay attention, we watch. Oh, it's like, if you're pitching for, you know, summer green light and we're like, wow, that team barely got anything done last term, it's going to have an impact. So it's that reputation piece. So yeah, make sure you have a build ready. I'm itching to cancel something.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of you are hungry, you're ready to stretch your legs, but do make sure that you get recruited first. Stay with the project that you want to be with. Your leads will break you to go to lunch and then tell you when you're going to resume. You do have a video due too, so make sure your face is part of that group. All right, you ready to go?
I'm good.
Okay.
We're looking forward to a fun term. I've been the mean guy, but this is a lot of fun as well. So please have fun. Let us know if you have any questions.